Okay, I welcome you all with love. My name's Dr. Gabriel Cousens. People call me the Dancing Doctor or Physician of the Soul. Today I want to talk to you about spiritual fasting. It's something I've been doing in guiding groups since 1988, okay, 37 years. And why? Because spiritual fasting activates a spiritual rebirth. Now, I use the word spiritual fasting because we're meditating several times a day. We're supporting the movement of what people call the East, the Kundalini energy. About 80% of the people who take the fast have a Kundalini awakening. And it's really a spiritual rebirth, physically, emotionally, mentally, and again, spiritually. Being a little redundant because most people don't quite think about it as that. People think physical detox. That's part of it, of course. But there is more to it because we're also looking at how do we live in the world? It's a time, the way we do it, a time of self-examination. What's key? People who attend the spiritual fast, which is going to be in October 21st, 2025. It's over the internet. And people who attend are committed to some level of spiritual rebirth. That's the difference. It's an intent. Yes, we meditate twice a day. Yes, people get shaktipat, which is the energy in Eastern language for the awakening of the Kundalini energy. That's really, really important. And we have time for self-examination in the whole process. But the key is the willingness to rebirth yourself. That's the key. And then as we move from that into other areas, we begin to see there's more going on. Okay. One of the things in my theory as I developed it is as we release the physical toxins, which clearly happens, they have served as anchors for the emotional, mental, and spiritual toxins. So we begin to clear that out. That's where we have that focus. The intent is to heal at every level. And that's the exciting thing. And one of the greatest, this is Paul Bragg, who's one of the fathers of the health movement in the United States. What he basically said is one of the greatest things we have is fasting to rejuvenate ourselves. And that's the key. We call it to spiritually fast, but also rational fasting, to do it with consciousness. So during this time, there's a really awakening of the spiritual force. And that's very consistent. Now, once we get past the spiritual and we start talking about other things that I think are very important as well, we're really talking about creating a lifestyle and reactivating a lifestyle that's going to rejuvenate us on every level of awakening. So it helps us get in touch with the rhythm of the soul. Okay. It also, on the physical level, it activates neuroderived growth factor, which is very important for brain function. What's interesting is after the age of, some people say 25 to 35, the brain begins to shrink. And what we see with spiritual fasting is the brain size increases 1% per year. That's really pretty good. And part of that is that there's certain neuron hormones, neuroderived growth factor, which regenerates neurons and helps grow new ones because stem cells are being activated. Human growth hormone is activated 13 times more in women and 20 times more in men. In my experience, I've seen it actually be stop or reverse Alzheimer's disease, cancer, diabetes, type 1 and type 2. And qualify, type 2, we get a much higher percentage. In 3 weeks, we're looking at 61% of people with type 2 diabetes are healed. Okay? It helps treat and cure high blood pressure, osteoarthritis, and variations of heart disease. It cuts down the rate of breast cancer by 40%. So they're real physical, tangible things. And it helps rebuild the immune system. In specific, stimulates the stem cells for the immune system. So some people feel that another way of framing it is it turns on the youthing genes, okay? And it repairs the energy factories within the cells, which are called mitochondria. We have some really benefits. There's some newer benefits that have just come out I'm going to mention, is that it tends to decrease spike protein in long COVID. And another very interesting thing that's come out, it decreases insulin resistance. Well, why is that important? Because people can be insulin resistant, meaning your cells aren't responding to the insulin. So you have to pump out more and more insulin, which isn't so good for you. So what happens is when you decrease or end insulin resistance, you actually cut out the tendency to get type 2 diabetes. And that's really, really important. So we have a prevention for type 2 diabetes going on. In general, we can say it enhances the body vital life force and ultimately supports full body enlightenment. So I invite you to our fast, and blessings to everyone.